To you by Fugo.
Maziwa kwa wingi, ni kama mvua. Maziwa kwa wingi, utashiba.
Akishiba, utashiba. Fugo Calf Starter Pellets, Calf Grow Pencils, Heifer Grow, Dairy Milk Plus, and Maxi Milk Plus. Products of Unga Farm Care.
Akishiba, utashiba. Utashiba.
Profite na ng'ombe wako.
Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja kuimarisha Kenya, ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
Hello and welcome to the Farm Kenya show. I'm Nokip Kimboy, and guess what? Today we are hanging out with the likes of Cristiano and Messi because everyone calls them the GOAT, depending on where and how you like your football. But it's actual GOATs, and not just any GOATs. First of all, this place is pretty unique because they're doing goat farming in Nairobi, specifically in Huruma. That's the first thing. And secondly, they're not just doing any kind of goat, but they are producing milk and value adding. And this will be a conversation today. So expect to learn a lot on matters goat farming and how you can get into it, or rather join the value chain of goat farming. I'm joined by Kevin Udun, who's the leader here, and under the covering of Huruma Town Youth Group. Kevin, welcome to Farm Kenya show.
Thank you.
Asante sana. So, goat farming. First of all, just for starters to lay foundations, Kevin, you're doing goat farming in Nairobi. You know, most of the times, a lot of people in Nairobi are not thinking about keeping any animals unless it is a small dog, you know, a pet and whatnot. How did you land on this particular idea?
Yeah, first the idea I got it from a farmer called the late Mr. Washira, who does his farming who used to do farming in Makadara. So he's the one who mentored me to kickstart the initiative. Having been brought up in a family whereby I lost my parents at an early age, and due to that time when we as a family we could not afford to get food supplements to boost the immune system, so my parents ended up dying due to that issue. So growing up, I wanted to be part of the solution towards that issue of food supplement in terms of now boosting immune system. So having met Mr. Washire, he inspired me to have this project in terms of dairy goat production, whereby the milk from the goat is really important when it comes to boosting immune system. Wow. So that is what inspired me.
That is such a strong foundation. And now you're coming from a place of, I know when I do goat milk, people are gonna, you know, demand for it, and the benefit is larger than myself based on where you're coming from, your background. But you have to plan yourself. You have to say, okay, I'm gonna buy goats. Where am I gonna find these goats? I have to put this goat somewhere in Huruma. You're living around Huruma area at that time? Yeah, so how do you start after you get this advice from Mr. Washira?
Yeah, so the first concept is to accept that one, you need to be a solution finder to a problem. So once you realize that there's a problem you want to solve, that will make you have now way of how now you're going to solve it. So one, here in a local area, you find that we have public spaces that are being misused. Some are being just left like that. And then even right now as we speak, we have the riparian land that was swept away. So we have spaces that are there. So the first thing we did was to reclaim this area, which is a public space under the county government. So it used to idle, and people used to dump waste on this area. So we approached the county government, who agreed now that we can use the space as long as we don't do something that is permanent. So being that agriculture also is part of what is advised by the government that you can do, under the 2015 Act, which binds that we can do urban farming depending on the zoning area. That's why we advocated to now start the zero grazing unit for goat production in the small spaces that we have. So it's all about utilization of the available resources.
That is very, very bold. And you know, the Huruma Town Group, you had to come together, form a group. Because I've just spoken to some young men who joined later on. I asked them, hey, are you part of the original founders? And they tell me, no, it's Kevo who started with other young men. The idea of pooling resources, especially as young men. Sometimes you don't have the available capital to begin your venture. Talk to me about deciding to sort of form a group and push a business idea as a group.
Yeah, that is a very good question that you've asked. For us to come together as young people at that time, there was post-election violence in 2007, which we experienced. So having finished high school, we came and found out that we had challenge in this area. The historic name for this area was a place whereby young people were opted to be thieves, were engaging into crime, whereby guns were the topic of the day. So we had to change that narrative. That is what made us now come together and start bringing the same ideas, people who had same ideas in terms of now bringing our head together to empower ourselves and also the community. So we started with the merry-go-round, the 5 of us who were the founders. So with this merry-go-round, we usually contributed money at the end of the month. So having done that, we thought of what can we do extra apart from that. That's when we met the Ministry of Agriculture Livestock Department and an organization called Mazingira Institute at the Chiefs Camp IDP place. That was in 2008, after the post-election 2007. So they were training people on urban farming. So we went there and volunteered fully in terms of helping and also getting those trainings. So from that is when we got another organization called Solidarite, who came to help the IDPs, who came on board and inspired us through constructing a unit for poultry. So that is what gave us the initiative of now starting the urban farming as a group.
Okay.
Yep.
So now you've formed a group, you've started sourcing for funds. The idea, the goal, you have a space that you've gone to the county government, they've allocated you a space. Now starting goat farming. This is somebody who wants to go into goat farming. Where do you begin in regards to, first of all, if you want to do, because you are doing dairy, but some people want to do it for meat, yeah? At the end of the day, what are the basics that you need to understand before stepping into this venture?
Yeah, for dairy goat is very unique and a special one. Why do I say that? Because unlike other dairy products, animals, like now cow, it needs a very big space. But for the dairy goat, it's just a small space. As you've seen around here, it's a small space that we constructed a multi-story unit within the small space that we are. Then you can be advised to use the locally available materials, like now the wood that have been put aside that they maybe want to be thrown away for firewood. They can also be used for a starter. So you don't need like maybe to start it a modernized one. Start just a small unit, depending on how the space that you have and what level you want to begin with. So with the goat, we have different breeds. So advice that I can tell somebody is that you don't look for pedigrees. You start with the crossbreeds, which the price is also affordable, whereby you can start with that as you improve gradually towards that pedigree from that small level. Yeah.
So first of all, the cost element, as you start, you have to be sensitive. So give me that price, the way you guys started. What was the initial investment? How many goats did you get? And maybe production-wise, because also when you're starting a business, you're thinking, okay, will I start milking this goat tomorrow and start selling milk tomorrow? How long does it take to be able to have sort of the capacity for it to make a business sense?
Yeah, so we have two concepts here. aspects in terms of now how you are going to tackle it. We have somebody who has capital enough that can just start it fully, and we have somebody who doesn't have that capital. So for us at that time, we didn't have that capital. So what happened, we started with the local breeds, not the dairy goat. We started with the local breeds, wanting to learn about goat first. That was in 2014 when we started with the local breeds from Kiamaiko. So as time went by is when, after getting the trainings and also being inspired with that farmer in Makadara, we were also engaged with the Ministry of Agriculture through trainings, and there was a grant at that time called Njaa Marufuku, which we applied, and immediately it went through. So we opted it to go specifically on dairy goat production. So that's where we started, whereby we were funded with, they bought 3 goats, the dairy goats, and also constructed a unit, a 4-house unit for the goats with the funding. But for those people who don't have capital completely, you can just start small, whereby you can construct a unit for maybe 2 goats. Then you get the crossbreed goat, which maybe a young one can cost from 5,000, 6,000, depending on where you're buying it. So for us, we advocate that for those people who are starting at low, we sell to them affordable price so that we can also motivate them to start, especially the young people. So we give them at a lower price so that they can also begin, because as we speak right now, we can't even sustain the market. So the moment we open those avenues through those young people, we'll have more milk production at the end of the day for the future now.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk to me about the element of when you talk about you, first of all, starting with just goats, okay? To understand goats first. Sometimes somebody has retired and now they're in the village, they're thinking, what will I do with my life? Let me get into goat farming, but I don't have time to understand these goats. That journey, what did you learn about goats, and what do people who intend to come into this business need to learn about goats generally as goats before even they specialize in whichever part of goat farming they want to do?
Yeah, the first thing I can say is that a goat, in fact, it is a special animal when it comes to relationship with humans. Because for me, I've created that rapport and relationship with the goats, whereby they are like part of me now. And they are very, very sensitive in terms of, they also like understand you, the goats themselves. In fact, I take it as a therapeutic moment. Whenever I'm stressed up, I usually come to this farm and sit somewhere. The young ones just come around me and they cool me. They understand that it's like they also feel that I'm under pressure. So they come close to me. I just feel like I'm also being given that therapy. So what I can tell somebody who is wanting to begin the dairy goat production and they don't have that time to understand it, what you can do is that maybe through the Google also, you can even inquire more about dairy goat production so that you can get the concepts about how they are, the breeds, so that once you want to start it, you can select whatever you've learned that maybe you want to keep, because we have different breeds.
So you're doing breeding for those who wanna, and you're saying your target actually is young people who don't have much capital, but they can get 6K, they can get 20K and start off their business. How long before we start milking the goats if you get a young one?
Yeah, so that is also a very good question, because when we started it, we thought that it was just like a pap to start having milk, but it is a process. And that process is what many people don't like. But if you want to venture into goat process, just make sure that you like the process itself. Once you buy a small goat when it is maybe 4 months old, make sure that you look at it when it's growing very well. And that part is also what you learn now, how this goat is. Because this is a young goat which is now growing. It's different from the person who buys a mature goat. So you will raise it until maybe from 8 months to 10 months, it will be ready to be served. So that's when now it will be served. but I advocate for 10 months to be the best, so that it has really matured. It can be able to carry any breed, yeah, be it pure or crossbreed. Yeah, because if you give it when it's too low, if it's too young, it brings complication at times. Yeah, so I'll advocate that for those people who want to start, you can start small so that you can learn. Then after it has been served, it takes a period of 5 months. Yeah, then after that is when it gives birth.
And that's when milk production is highest.
Yeah, then the first birth of a goat, the milk is usually low. Then maybe from the second or the third birth period is when the milk now goes up. Yes.
At 1 year, then, once it's been served, 5 months, then gives birth. First time you say milk production is low. How do you advise after the first birth? How long time period before you go into the next cycle?
Next cycle. Yeah, so what we advocate for, because as we sell also the breeds, you'll consider the first 90 days after it has given birth. The lowest period that you can give is 90 days, which is 3 months, which is now professionally. So for the kid also to get enough milk. So some milk twice a day, but some milk once. Like me, I milk once a day because I'm considering also the kids to grow when they are healthy, so that once I'm selling the kids, I can fetch good money because they'll be healthy. But once you take a lot of the milk that you want now to take as a farmer, and you leave the kid without milk, it grows not very healthy. So when somebody comes to buy, they'll tell you that it's not looking well. Yes. So
dairy goat meat production, rather, dairy goat farming, and sort of generating offsprings of and selling off. These are businesses that are intertwined to the hip.
Yes.
If you choose to, but a lot of people use that strategy to grow their flock.
Yeah. And then farmers are different. There are those who are doing only breeding, and there are those who are doing for milk. Like me, I'm concentrating for milk, but people come because they like the breed that I have, so they want to go and start with that breed. But we have those farmers who are concentrating with one breed to specialize for breeding purposes only. Yeah, for me, I have crossbreeds.
All right.
Yeah.
How do you feed your goats to be able to get their greatest potential in terms of production?
Yeah, at first we used to concentrate only on the food waste market, whereby that as a group we also do waste management. So we find that the household units that we usually collect household waste from the household, we advocate for them that the food remains that are from the kitchen, they put it aside for us. So that is part of the feeding that we give our animals, whereby we have vegetables that have been chopped and left aside. We also use those ones to give the goats. And also at the marketplace, in the evening, we usually go and collect the food waste, which also helps us to reduce the issue of environmental conservation issues. So you find that we concentrated on the food waste at the market. But as time went by, having been taught and also through the exchange programs, we realized that supplementing the food was something very key towards increasing the milk production. So we introduced the dairy meal, whereby we usually give them also dairy meal per day, but only those that we are milking. And then it also depends the dairy meal that you are giving them, because you have different companies, which I don't want to advocate for anything which is maybe going to bring issues to the companies. But we have those standardized companies that you go and get dairy meal from them, which is very okay for the animals. Then we also introduced the Rhodes grass and Lucerne. Lucerne is a proteinous plant. It gives up to 30% of protein level. So that one is also very key when it comes to dairy goat production. Whenever you give them, they increase the production.
All right. So on average, if you have one dairy goat, how much does it cost you in terms of input? Because farmers generally talk about high cost of input when it comes to production, and that determines the value of the product also. When people complain, oh, your products are too expensive, they're like, you see the input is quite pricey. For goats, how much does it cost to sort of maintain one in terms of feeds and just making sure that they're well taken care of?
Yeah, what I can say, if you are concentrating on the locally available foods from the market, it's like almost very low. Why am I saying that? Because the market waste is very cheap. Nowadays they sell. Before it used to be free. But now, like for a goat, it doesn't eat a lot like a cow. For one goat, you find that if you get one sack of that green leftovers from the market, then you sort it properly. You ensure that you sort the food is enough for that one goat. So you'll find that for a dairy meal, on a daily basis, you give it like 1 kg for dairy meal, and which will be costing like 85 or 100 shillings bob. So you'll get that for that goat, if you are getting 3 liters of milk, or maybe 2 liters, let's say a day, 2 liters, and you're selling at 200 bob. Then you put that maybe the food you're getting from that is coming to 120 or maybe 100 per day. You'll get that you're making 100 from that 200, from that 2 liters that you're making. So 100 you put it on the feeding, then 100 will be like you've made a profit out of it. When you're doing now the locally feeds. Yeah, but when you're doing now you've introduced the hay and the lucerne, you'll realize that the production will go high. The same goat that was producing 2 liters with the local feeds will increase to maybe 2.5 or maybe 3 liters, depending on the breed. So you'll find that there the production, yes, will not be 100, it will be like 150 or 60 there. But now the production has increased, so you'll get to, maybe you are getting now double the profit that you are getting with the other feeding. Yes.
And I know in terms of demand for goat milk, quite interesting. I don't know how many people, because you say the demand is higher than the production. Who's drinking goat milk on a daily?
Yeah, the first person drinking this dairy goat milk is me. As farmer number one, I must advocate for whatever I'm doing. So the moment I come to preach the gospel to you, I must preach whatever I'm doing. I can't preach to you whatever I'm not doing. So from that, the next customer is my neighbor, whom I must also advocate for them to realize the advantages of this goat milk. At first, they didn't realize, but nowadays, they come for it, having realized the importance of dairy goat milk. Then from there, you'll find that by word of mouth, this gospel is now moving. And then through the social media that we have with
1H of the Constitution, which is at the center of this application. I also
a product that we have. Some of them even come here to see how do we do it, what do they eat, so that they can actually get whatever they feel that is safe for them. Because us, we are advocating for food security and safe food. Yes.
And in terms of general care, because I see in terms of space, you say goats do not need much space. Do you release them from here to go open up their mind, their mental health? How does that work?
Yeah, since we are doing a zero grazing unit, and the concept of zero grazing unit is that they are in their units. That's why you see this is a modern structure that has been constructed. If you look at the house structure the way it is, this is now the modern structure, how it's supposed to look. So every goat is in its own room. So what happens when you're going to milk? I milk them from another end. So the goat gets out. In fact, they know. Once I just open the door, it comes where it's supposed to be milked. I just call the name. They all have names. I just open the door and call Irene, it comes. Rose, it comes. So they know. Then on some days, I usually open for them in this small space here. They get also the sun, at times. So you just open for them, they play around here, then I take them back into their cages.
Quickly go through how critical it is for you to take care of the health of your goat. How often should they have their checkups? What do you need to look out for to ensure that their health is on check?
When it comes to health issues of goats, for you to avoid incidences of diseases, the structure that you've constructed really matters. Once you've constructed a poor construction house, the goats will oftenly be sick because one, the coldness is very, very there to bringing pneumonia to the goats. So the moment you're constructing a unit, ensure that you consider those elements, that the wind should not be blowing directly to the animals. Then number two, the droppings must be going down. That's why the house is raised. The moment it is in contact with the droppings, that is also another element that brings infections to the goat. So for instance, we find that diseases is a no case here. Only it happens, yes, but not oftenly. So through the Ministry of Agriculture Livestock Department, there is a veterinary officer that is usually under the Nairobi County government, whom we are in liaison with. So the moment we have issues, we consult through him, and whenever, if he's far, because there are few, we usually also have private veterinary, even though the private ones are very expensive, not like the government. The government is a little bit reasonable, and at times they just come for free. So that is now the issue. So it's upon you now as a farmer to ensure biosafety measures are very key to avoid diseases.
All right. Oh, that's beautiful. All right. And we want to take a short break, but when we come back, we talk about value addition. Since you're very passionate about goat milk, what can we do with goat milk other than just drinking it the way it is? That's what we'll be focusing on. But right now, we've been having this conversation with Kevin Udun, who's actually one of the founders of Huruma Town Youth Group, and is doing dairy goat production or dairy goat farming. And he says actually the goat milk is very healthy. How do you tap into these healthy elements of this goat milk? Well, that and many more shall come after this short break. Stay tuned.
Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja. Kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
You are watching Farm Kenya, brought to you by Fugo.
Akishiba, utashiba. Fugo layer feed, Fugo Kienyeji feed, and broiler 2-stage and 3-stage diet. Products of Unga Farm Care.
DJ Tatua.
ongelesha.
Ni wewe naongelesha ndugu.
Mimi nilikuwa nafikiri ni kuimba unaimba.
Ni kuimba kweli naimba, lakini nakuuliza tena kazi iko waje?
Wewe ni nani na unabeba hapa kama nani wewe? Hii ni stage na si ya mtu. Toka hapa. Toka hapa. Toka hapa. Wewe achana Ama utafanya nini?
You dears. My hostess.
Yeah, Jezebel. Kumbe unaitwa you dears.
Unaniaibisha mbele ya my family.
Several times.
550 only. No, you have been a good person to me. Lazima nikuongeze kitu bana.
Uko shule. Wewe lipa gari.
How much?
50,000. What up you doing?
I need. Mnanipeleka madhara ndio mali yangu mkule vile mnataka. Kuna mnadanganya ati this for my own good.
Ni wewe ulimaliza maji kwa fridge? Ukarudisha kibuyu bila maji?
Serious. Unanipigia hizo madrama nikiwa job? Wewe hajalipa gari.
Unataka kulipa?
Unafaa nikuitie polisi wewe. Nonsense. Toka hapa.
You are watching Farm Kenya, brought to you by Fugo.
Leo wako wakishiba na Fugo, utashiba na mayai from Shell, Yellow York. Broiler wako wakishiba na Fugo, utaona mazao in 35 days.
Akishiba, utashiba. Fugo Layer Feed, Fugo Kienyeji Feed, and Broiler 2-stage and 3-stage diet. Products of Unga Farm Care.
Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
All right, welcome back to the Farm Kenya show. Today we are focusing on dairy goat farming, and we are doing this from Huruma. So if at all, space has always been your excuse in regards to going to farming, especially of goats, you have no excuse. We've just explained that in the part 1 of this show. But right now, we look at some of the value addition that you can do to the goat milk, because you are farming these goats for specific production of milk from these goats. So what can you do to add value to it? And our conversation, we are continuing it with Kevin Udun from Huruma Town Youth Group. And Kevin, right now we want to make one of the value adds product when it comes to goat milk. First of all, briefly, from goat milk, what are some of an array of products can we make before we go specifically to what we are making today?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier about dairy goat practice, we concentrate majorly on production of milk. And so whenever we have surplus of milk, we usually advocate for doing processing, whereby adding value to the milk itself. So we have yogurt that we make, and also cheese. But these ones we do through order.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever we have a surplus of the milk.
Okay.
Yes, which also the price is higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how will people know? You announce to them, we have extra milk, guys. How does that work?
What happens through our social media, we find that whenever there is surplus of milk, is when we advertise that we have now we are now calling for orders for goat milk, cheese, and also yogurt.
Okay.
Yeah, so we usually do through the social media.
Alrighty.
Which our clients, majority of them, are following us.
Ah,
yeah,
beautiful. So today we're making cheese?
Yes.
Beautiful. I see we have quite an array of products. Describe to us. I can see milk. That is rather obvious. When you're making cheese from goat milk, what do you need apart from goat milk itself?
Yeah, making cheese, we have different forms of cheese. And for us, basically, as I mentioned, we are from Lower Muthaiga in Mathare. So we are only concentrating on homemade cheese, the simple one, the one that you can make anyhow at home, comfortably without stress. So, and then the factor that you are considering the utilization of the available resources, that's why we are using the most easily available things that you can use to make the cheese. So we have fire, which is gas. We have sufuria that you're going to use for heating the milk.
Okay.
Then we have the tins for using when you want now to cut lemon.
Okay.
You must use lemon.
Okay.
Yeah, this is easily available. The lemon assists in forming the curds. Once the milk has been boiled to the level it is required,
okay,
so we will add the lemon, which is natural.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Then also salt is needed to add taste, to make it have some taste. But some people who don't use salt, you don't put salt. Just put it.
Salt.
We call it dufia.
Dufia.
In local terms.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Lovely.
And then we have cheesecloth, which you'll also use to now drain the liquid that will separate the curd, the curd itself, with the water that has been drained from the milk. Yes.
Definitely. So let's do this. So where are we beginning?
Yeah, so first, after you've ensured that you have everything, you'll start by now putting milk in the sufuria.
Okay. Are we putting all the four?
Yeah,
okay.
all the four.
I can help you with the other one.
Help me.
Thank you very much. Goat milk.
Goat milk.
This
Fresh.
is what Messi drinks.
You make sure that it is fresh.
Can you drink goat milk just raw like that?
Direct from milking?
Of course, that is dangerous.
No. You must do pasteurization, the first heating.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the first pasteurization method that you do.
All right. So this one is pasteurized?
Not yet.
Okay, this is raw.
Fresh, yeah, raw.
Okay.
Raw.
Okay. So for cheese, you need raw milk.
Yeah, fresh one.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you start now lighting. You're going to assist me at some point.
Okay.
Because after we've light, we'll now be stirring the milk to avoid it getting burnt.
Okay.
And then the first step is now starting to
light it up. Is the fire on?
You know, you're outside, so determine when it's on. I think it's on.
Yes, it's on. It's on. Okay.
So
you start right away, or
not
when
right
it
away,
started?
just give it some time first.
Okay.
Then with us, we also have a food thermometer.
Okay.
That we'll be using to determine the temperature.
Okay.
Yeah, we must boil it until 80 degrees to 90 degrees.
Okay.
So you ensure that it does not pass that level.
Okay.
Yeah. So this
why
is
80 to 90?
At the moment it passes that, there's there's a term professionally that has gone, but there's a term that we were taught that once it reaches 100%, those elements will have also died completely.
Oh, so when you heat it to boiling point for waters, 100% boiling point, in milk it kills are some of the elements that are very nutritious.
Yeah, which are very key in the production of even yogurt. That's why it's usually at some point, for yogurt it's 40 degrees. Then you remove you remove it from the burner.
Okay.
Yeah, for this one is 80.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends. So this one, we are going to be using it for the process of now measuring the temperature.
Okay.
Yes.
Sawa. No problem.
As the stirring continues, you also ensure that you prepare the onion, the lemon to be ready for the process, because once it reaches 80 degrees, we'll put off the light, the heat, then we add lemon for the curding to form. So, and the purpose of stirring is to ensure that the milk does not get burnt. So once it gets burnt, it means that the smell will be smelling burnt. So you keep on stirring until it reaches that. So as you stir for me, and me I prepare the lemon.
Okay.
So as we proceed, already I've prepared my lemon, which is there. Is waiting now for the milk to boil. You'll use your food thermometer to now put it, as you continue stirring, to measure the level that still not yet.
Still not yet.
Yeah. So it will just rise.
Where are we at right now?
We are 30.
We are 30?
Yes.
You are aiming for?
80 to 90.
80 to 90?
Yes.
Okay.
So you look at the red part of it, it's supposed to go up. So it means it's still not it. I think the reason is because the milk was in the fridge.
Yes.
So it was cold, so it must. If it was fresh immediately, it would have already rised.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So let me help you.
Okay.
As you hold that for me.
Milk, we've heated, imefika 85. It should be between 80 and 90?
Yeah, 80 and 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. So once it may hit those temperatures, what do we do?
After that, now you will remove your thermometer. Then you put off the
burner.
Then you put your milk as then you take the lemon. The lemon juice that you had prepared. Then you add. Immediately after adding,
you continue.
You continue stirring now.
The purpose of the lemon, you had said, is
to form the curds.
Okay.
Now after we've added lemon, it has formed the curds. So now you put in a cheesecloth to separate the curds from the water. The water remains from the milk.
Okay.
Now, so yeah, you can assist me.
Is it slow? Is it fast?
Just slow, so that you can also record that it did not burn. If you look at the
you have to look at the
sufuria inside. The milk did not burn. You would have noticed if it burned, inside it will be brown or black. Okay. Just add, continue.
That is the cheese cloth?
Yeah. Yes, good job. Then after that now, depending on the taste that you want, we can add salt.
Okay.
Yeah, just
salt to taste.
To taste. But some people prefer not adding salt. Those who don't use salt, so you can just prepare without salt. But if you want a little bit of taste, You add a little bit of salt inside for the taste to come.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little. Then now you hold your cheesecloth, then pull it up.
Okay. So you're having some juice coming.
Yes. So it will be now separating the liquid from the curd.
Okay.
So the remain that will come here is now the cheese.
Okay.
Then we have the liquid that is being drained.
That liquid, can it be put to use or discarded?
Yeah, that liquid is also in use, whereby it's very nutritious in vitamin. So for us, we take it, we drink it, and even it's used for preparing vegetables because it is full of vitamins. And it's very sweet. You can just drink it after you have collected it from this. Yeah, so it's very healthy, nutritious. You don't pour it away. Yes. So this takes some minutes for it to drain completely. It can take up to even 30 minutes for it to drain completely. So for you not to get tired or maybe exhausted, we usually improvise our cases. So what we do, we tie it in our mwiko.
Improvisation 101.
Yeah, we improvise. After you put it there, so we improvise our mwiko to be like a holding gadget.
Okay. To make it drain.
Yeah, to make it drain.
Okay. Okay. So wait for that.
Yeah. Or you can also squeeze it. You see?
Squeezing works.
Yeah, to make work easier, you can also squeeze it. But if you don't want to use a lot of, maybe you don't have time, is when you squeeze.
Okay.
But if you have a lot of time, you just leave it to settle. It will drain itself. So our case, you can decide maybe to squeeze or maybe to just leave it until it drains all the water.
Okay.
Yes.
So after it's drained, what's the next thing?
After it has drained now, the level of draining will determine of the client. As do they want a dry cheese or a soft cheese? So the level of drying depends with the order. There are those who want soft cheese. So you will ensure that you don't leave it to dry completely, which means it is it is very dry. So for those who want dry cheese, you'll ensure that it dries completely. Is that okay?
Yes.
Then for pregnant women, they are not advised to take dried cheese. So majority of them are the ones who take now the soft one.
Okay.
So put that in mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Camera lady, you've had. Then
after now that is now your cheese will be ready.
Okay.
You now can package.
Okay.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
It's ready for eating. You can eat it. It's like a dessert. You add honey to dania and even chocolate. It's very sweet. Yeah, it's a very sweet dessert.
All right.
Yeah, but you can also eat it just like that.
Okay.
Yes.
So with this kind of value addition, does it fetch more money?
Yeah, it fetches more money because you'll find that for this one we've used like, for instance, if you use 1 liter, it will give you 100 gram.
Okay.
Or 200 gram. 200 gram.
Okay.
For 1 liter.
Okay.
So if you sell that in grams, 100 grams go to 240 or 250.
Okay.
So 200 is 500. You'll find that it's almost
that
double.
1 liter of milk is how much?
200.
Okay. So when you value add, it doubles.
It doubles. Yeah. So you're in business.
Yes.
So that is the concept of it. And if you look at whatever you've used, it's just lemon that you've bought like 50 shillings, and then heat maybe you've used like 30 or 20 shillings. Salt is just a pinch, maybe 2 bob. So
You make value.
yeah, you make value for money.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And as we finish up, in terms of this industry and where it's going, because you're saying there is more demand for the products than you can supply. Where do you think dairy goat farming in Kenya is heading? We are in 2025 as we move forward. And what do you think are the factors that will shape that growth, if at all it's growing?
For dairy goat practice to grow, it will be a collective responsibility as farmers, the community, and government, plus any other private institution that has got that clear way or interest of eating healthy in terms of promoting food security. So as Kenyans, I think that this is a venture that many people are coming into it, and some years to come, it will maybe even come to level it will be now competing with the cow milk, because many people prefer cow milk. But due to health issues, they are now coming to goat milk. So which means it will be in a good competition some years to come. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for your time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your input right here from Huruma Town Youth Group.
Yes.
Quite an important initiative that a lot of young people in Huruma are participating in to change their lives around, but also to build disciplines in different fields of farming. You guys are doing chicken, butter, goats. Impressive, you're in waste collection. So continue doing the good work that you're doing. And we appreciate your time right here at the Farm Kenya show.
Thank you very much. As farmer number one, I'm also grateful for your visit today in our farm. And we assure you that you're going to keep the spirit to motivate even other farmers to continue doing it, and even the young people more so, to come on board so that we can create more opportunity, job opportunities.
Definitely.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, there you have it. Kevin Udun, and he's one of the founders of Huruma Town Youth Group. And he says that it can be done. Space is not a limitation, it's about the mind. If you put your mind to it and back it up with action, then you can rear goats for milk. Since the demand is there, you can also value that particular milk to make cheese, and also the demand is there. And these are value chains that definitely can change this country. But that's where we put a full stop to today's show. Thank you very much for joining with us on the Farm Kenya show. I'm Noah Kipkemboy. Until next time, it is a bye-bye for now.
Farm Kenya, brought to you by Fugo.
Maziwa kwa wingi, ni kama mvua. Maziwa kwa wingi, utashiba.
Akishiba, utashiba. Fugo Calf Starter Pellets, Calf Grow Pencils, Heifer Grow, Dairy Milk Plus, and Maxi Milk Plus. Products of Unga Farm Care.
Akishiba, utashiba.
Profitability na ng'ombe wako.